Almi Hotep, peace and blessings. I greet you in the name of God and the ancestors, in whose footsteps I most humbly walk, as Brother Ed Mojo for the PIFF Connection. We are talking to someone who is a PIFF alumni. She's been to PIFF. She's done she did a boot camp for us. She's been on the radio with us, and we did our radio show. So for those of you who have followed us, you all know who she is. You've seen her in movies. You see her on QVC. You see her as an author. Okay, she's an author. She's an actress. She's a mother. She's an all-around cool sister. So we are really happy to introduce and welcome her to the show, Sister Jacinth Headlam. What's up? Peace and blessings, Sister Jacinth. How you doing?
Hello.
So how you doing, girl?
I am great. How are you? Thanks for even having me. You always been one of my day one supporters.
Hey, you know what?
So much, Brother Ed.
You're doing some really great stuff out there. So
Thank
I wanted
you.
to give the family a little update about what you've been doing, because I see you on QVC. I see you have a new book out, and you're working on the second one already. Still acting and doing your stuff in front and behind the camera. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Jacinth. So for now, how's being an author? When did you become an author?
Oh man, I published my book last year, Love After. It's a motivational self-help memoir and journal. And it was just my way of giving back. You know, when I went through the lowest of low, I was broken and feel like I lost everything, including myself and my identity. I didn't know who I was. And in my healing process and, finding myself and my voice and my truth and my identity, and most importantly, my purpose, because I just felt like life, I was at a point of so low that I just didn't feel like life was worth living anymore. And in that transition of going through everything from divorce to losing my home, and my kids involved in this divorce. I have 2 children, and it was just a lot. Like everything, like back to back to back, hit me all at once. And in my healing journey was when I felt like God spoke to me and said that there's love after this. If you can get up, you can look up, and there's love after these hurts. There's love after these pains and these deaths that you have to go through in order to resurrect and be restored. And that word just stuck with me. And healing is a continuous thing, but I'm in a place where I'm so much mature. I'm more whole, I'm healed. And most importantly, I forgave. And in my healing journey was when I decided, you know what? A lot of people are going through what I'm going through, of losing yourself and losing yourself in your traumas. And if I can get through it, there's other people who needs my help. So I'm going to reach back and pull people up with me and pay it forward. And that's how come I created the book, Love After.
Wow. Man, that's a mouthful right there. That's very powerful, because, a lot of people, will try to cover up that, not expose it to the whole world like you've done.
I tried to, and I could not sleep. I could not be at rest. I was not having peace because I felt like I was being disobedient. Where I'm like, okay, you get to a point where in life you can run, but you can't hide. I feel like you have to be obedient, and saying yes to your purpose means dying to self, means it's not about you. Your life is not about you. Your life don't belong to you. You're a servant. What do you put on this earth to do? What do you put on this earth to help others with? How are you an answer to the world? How are you an answer to your community and society?
Yeah.
And it's often through your testimony.
Right. Because, one thing I always say in Sisters in Harmony, and what you're doing is not about you, because there's a whole bunch of little Jacinths looking at you.
Yeah.
And you might be the only person in that circle that's giving them hope by you fighting. Because they see you doing it and they say, well, she could do it, I could do it too. And that's the thing, because our purpose in life is not to make ourselves better, but it's to make the community better. And if we're in the community, then we make ourselves better in the process of making the community better.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I hear what you're saying. That's very powerful. When I saw you and all the stuff you go, I was like, man, she's out here with this book and she's doing all this stuff. This is really cool, because my thing was, when I saw you doing that, I was like, you know what? There's a little girl somewhere who's going through some challenges, and when she hears you speak and she sees you, she will identify with you. And we see that every day. The younger people, when they have superheroes and they look to these superheroes, right? Well, the superheroes in our community are us.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have a cape or nothing, but we are the superheroes. Like, we see the firefighters, like how little boys grew up want to be firefighters because they see the firefighters in the back of the truck and they see guys doing all these great things. Even police officers for some of them. So we are the superheroes to those young people, because imagine how many young people, when you were young, who influenced you? You grew up in Jamaica. How many adults in the Jamaicans did you see that made you want to say, wow?
Exactly. And that is why you hit the nail on the head, where I feel like my lane is really speaking to my people from Caribbean descent and in the diaspora, and really representing those people who don't see themselves on a mainstream platform. Like myself, I can't really identify with no one on the mainstream platform. In terms of, there's a lot of powerful women, but in terms of Caribbean women on a mainstream platform that shares my story, that from where I'm from, that had the same upbringing that I've had. I just feel like people here in the States are so blessed and so fortunate and somewhat entitled. When you're born and raised in the Caribbean, where you didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And, you living in a board house where the breeze blow too hard, you might not have a roof tomorrow. So we didn't have fresh running water. We had to go to the river to fetch or to buy, to bathe, or to get water and carry that bucket on our head. Like, that's how I was raised. So I don't really see those type of people that I can really relate to on a mainstream platform. And I feel like God is saying, you're the person for your generation and more to come.
That's a very powerful statement, because right now you could say, like, in the Caribbean, the main stage of actors and people and authors, you see them in the Caribbean, but you don't see them on a global stage.
On a global, the main.
So you have those in the Caribbean, doing some wonder, which is cool, which is really good. But when do we go to the next level? When do we go to the global stage and we show that we from the Caribbean can dance on the global stage? We have a story to tell also that will impact the world. And for me, that's one thing. Like when I go home and shooting films in the Caribbean, it's like my way of saying, listen, we have the skill set, we have the people, and we could do it also. We could tell stories same way like someone from Italy or France could tell a story that impacts the world.
Yeah.
Someone from Jamaica or St. Lucia or Trinidad could tell a story that impacts the world also. It's not exclusively just for the Caribbean, it's for the whole world. Just like someone from Italy is for the whole world. And so when young people hear your story, and those who are still in Jamaica because you're from Jamaica, they hear that, they say, "What? The guy will make it? I could do it too." So that gives them hope. Because they could touch you. Because you go back home to Jamaica, they'll see you and they could say, "She's real. I could touch her," and they could hear you speak in the Jamaican Creole and patois. They could hear you. They could see you talk about the food and growing up in certain parts of Jamaica, and that makes them say to themselves, "Well, she's one of us."
Yes.
We have to give that back. I think that's one of our give backs when we get to where we get to. That's why I love what you're doing, because I think a lot of young people in Jamaica and the Caribbean, they could touch you. And they could and they could feel you, because when you talk and you talk the way you talk, it connects them to you. Because someone from the US cannot go to Jamaica and talk like if they grew up there. But you
not the same.
Go back, it's not the same. It's not the same. So when you go back and you start talking about some parts of Jamaica where you grew up, and this and Mrs. So and so and Mr. So and so, and this and the mango trees you climb when you
the mango,
They could
I've climbed many. A lot of my bruises are from that. A lot of my scars on my legs and my back and my knees from me climbing and falling out of trees.
So congratulations on that, because unfortunately there are some of us, when we make it, we try to cover up our past and not let people know where we are from. And so for me, I tell people I'm from St. Lucia. I tell people I'm from Marcia. So people say, "What, you from Marcia?" Yeah, I'm from Marcia and St. Lucia. So they know I'm identifying with them. I didn't forget where I came from. So when I see you talk about Jamaica and talk about your growth, that tells me like you are still connected to your roots.
Oh yeah. For sure.
That's really cool.
That's
I love
me.
it. I love it.
That's my life. That's my journey. Yeah, I can never be disconnected. That's why it gets under my skin. Like, of course, I'm in filmmaking and I'm in the arts. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when I watch a show and they try to introduce some kind of Caribbean culture and it's not authentic. And it's like American actors who are hired to play a Jamaican. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is the most disrespectful thing. You mean to tell me this is the most diverse country. All of this Jamaican around, you can't find a real Jamaican with real authentic patois, really?
And that troubles me because we have the skill set in the Caribbean. We have the actors, the brother who's in Black Panther from Tobago. He's from Trinidad and Tobago who played, his last name is Duke. Here's a brother from the Caribbean, from Trinidad and Tobago. He's from Tobago, if I remember correctly. And he's an actor so I know he could pull off a Trinidadian accent. And there's Jamaicans in the arts that could pull off a Jamaican accent who are highly qualified actors or actors. And you're going to tell me you cannot use them to tell your story? You have to go get someone else to act like them. That's almost like back in the day when they used to say they had white actors putting blackface on. So now right. So now you have Black actors putting Caribbean accents on. Mm-hmm. Oh, why don't you get Caribbean actors? Same way we got upset when they put the blackface on white actors. I think we should have an issue when they get Black actors to play Caribbean characters when you have Caribbean actors who could do the real thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that's very cool. But I just love what you're doing out there. And I see you now. You're writing a second book to this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us what can you tell us about the second book?
I can tell you the title. It's called Love After Transformation. So it's like a volume 2. It definitely touched still on the transformation of the heart, transformation of the mind, and transformation of your journey from like a thought to now it being fully manifested, and you're just a transformational journey. Or whether it's healing, whether it's forgiveness, whether it's relationship, or healing from relationships, and how to discover yourself, your truth, your voice, and how to walk in your purpose or discover your purpose. So, I mean, it hits on a lot of things, from self to relationship to prosperity to your dreams and aspirations and your goals and your vision and your purpose. And so I think I tried to hit on like everything that are components of our day-to-day lives and things that we struggle with.
Okay, cool. Well, I look forward to seeing that one when it comes out, reading that one when it comes out. So let's go to another side of Jacinth, the actor, interpreter, and author. Let's go. I want to go to the part of you about your QVC. Now, we established you're from Jamaica and you're an actor. So I'm always happy when I see you and I talk to a lot of people about you. And the reason I do, because you're from the Caribbean and you could talk without the Caribbean accent when you want to, and you can talk with it when you have to.
Yeah, man.
And so, and I think that's
switch it up.
It's going to switch it up on that. All right. So and the reason I talk about you and QVC, I want a lot of young girls to know, here's a sister from Jamaica on QVC. And I think that's important because I need them to understand, these young girls to understand that they can make it. They can do it because you're doing it. So when I see you do the QVC stuff and you put the links on, I'm always sharing it to my sisters in Harmony. Because I want people to see, I want the young girls out there, because it troubles me. There's a lot of young girls out there who don't think they could make it.
Right.
And so when they see you and it's like, oh yeah, she's an American doing that stuff. No, she's not an American. She's a Jamaican who lives in America doing that stuff. Let's go back to the beginning. She's from the Caribbean and she's in the US and she's doing it. So if she could come from Jamaica and do it, so can you. You could do it from here. But if you're in the Caribbean, I think you give them a lot of hope. So talk about the QVC and how did you get on QVC?
Oh man, I was on a waiting list for QVC for like a year. I remember my agent submitted me. I did all the requirements and all of that. In 2016, And then 2017 was, yeah, almost a year. Was it the beginning of 2017? And then August of 2017 was when I finally got in for orientation. And it's been a blessing ever since. I love QVC. It's definitely something that's like a dream come true, because I started modeling when I was like 17. And those who know me and my modeling career, my family wasn't as supportive, because they're like, you want to do modeling? Picnic, go take your book, you know? So my family is one of those family where they don't really believe in the art like that. They're more on, are you going to school to be a doctor, a lawyer? You go to college, you do the uniform things that the typical parent will expect you to do. That's by the book. That's, you know, there's no point A or B, like just stick to the safe zone. And everybody know when you're an artist, you're flying blind. You don't know, you can try. Then in 5 years is when you can get your breakthrough, or, you know, it can happen in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. But I do believe that consistency and hard work is the key. And I feel like the God in the universe, or whatever you want to say, is going to bless you and reward your tenacity and your obedience if you're in alignment. So to be able to still fulfill my dreams at 30, it was a dream come true, because I kind of gave up on my modeling. And when I went to college and just life happened, I got married and I started a family, and I just everything kind of went to the wayside, and I just focused on, okay, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I was just working at the bank as a financial specialist for years, and that was just my day-to-day life. But I was not really living. I was still empty. I was still not fulfilled with my personal desires and where I see myself going. Because I always tell people, your children can't answer for you. Your spouse or your partner, whoever you're with, can't answer for you. Mommy, daddy can't answer for you. You have to be able to answer for yourself. Did you do what you were put on this earth to do? Did you fulfill your assignment? Did you walk and discover and walk in your purpose? That's what it really boils down to. And I wasn't. So I'm happy that QVC gave me the opportunity to be able to still fulfill, a part of my dream. And be able to pick back up my modeling career. And it's amazing. Like, I mean, I prayed to God to be on TV. I know it was gonna come in that form. But I'm definitely still pushing my acting career. I love acting. I love losing myself in a character and bridging the two worlds together, and just transforming and telling a story, and just creating that. I just love that. It's just.
Let me ask you a question about that. You just said something you said a lot right there. Let's go. What if you don't mind, if you can share, what happened that made you get back on that path? Because you said you got married, you were a mom, you work at the bank, and you pretty much put that to the side. So what happened that made you go back and pull it and put it back on your journey? What was there some specific thing that happened, or what made you go pull that dream and put it back on your path?
I mean, I feel like everyone will get to a point in their life where you're like, enough is enough. And it's like you're just existing and you're not living, and it's but so much that you can procrastinate and just keep sweeping it under the rug. And year after year, you're just feeling like, dag, I'm not where I need to be. I'm not doing what I'm called to do. And I just happened to get to a point in my life where it's like, okay, you know what? Me being a mom is not gonna it's not gonna break me, or because I feel like that's also one of the stereotype or stigma that we have in the entertainment industry, is that if you're a mom, you really can't make it in this business. And I carried that guilt for a while, like, well, not the word guilt, but that weight of, well, I don't know if I can juggle being a mom and still being in this business, because it's so unpredictable. It's so unpredictable. It's like, it's very unstable. I would definitely say this business is very unstable, because it's hurry up and wait. It's a lot of last minute changes. Sometimes you don't find out you book a role until 2 days before. And it's like, oh, by the way, we need to fly you out by tomorrow and 2 days from now, because we start shooting on Friday. And it's like, wait, what? So I think for me, I was just afraid, because I'm like, well, all I really knew was how to be a wife and a mother. I didn't know how to juggle this business and still pursue my dreams. and whether it was going to take away. And I just, it was a lot of the fear of the unknown, and fear, I feel like, cripples a lot of us and caused us to self-sabotage and block a lot of our blessings, because we're so busy comparing ourselves to this and that, or afraid of the unknown and whether it will or will not work. We don't know. We don't feel like we have the right tools or the right money or the right resources.
Yes.
And you have to get to a point in your life where you're like, F it. Like, I'm going to just soar. I'm going to just jump out on pure faith. And I'm trusting that God is going to place my feet on solid ground as I stand on his promises and what he told me I was created to do. And you just have to just be bold. And I think that's what a lot of us, that's what I was missing, is boldness, and to get out of my way and to get out of my head, and to not be so consumed with fear of the unknown or my shortcomings. Yeah. So I just one day was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to start. I'm just going to Google. I'm going to see, how do I start with a modeling again? Let me get some pictures. What do I need to do? Okay, start a portfolio. Let me get some pictures for cheap, or someone who would do it for me for free, and we do a trade-off. Or, okay, for acting, what do I need? Headshots, take classes. Okay, let me try to find a cheap class I can do entry level to start out and take some headshots. And you just have to just start, and the rest will, you'll be rewarded with your obedience and your efforts. It will be rewarded.
Yeah, there's an old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So if you never take that first step, you never know where you. Because I know for me, with my being the photography and stuff, here I had my degree. I was working in the aerospace, working in government contracts, making good money. People's like, so why you want to be a photographer? Because I was like, I want to. I've been doing photography since I was a little boy. And so when I used to get up and finish my daytime job, and I used to go to New York to do work for Reverend Al Sharpton and other people like that, it's just like,
wow.
Why are you doing that? I said, well, I'm his photographer. I feel it was something I was called to do, because it came, and I remember somebody said, what your gifts and your talent is when you work so hard at it, and it's so easy for you to do. Because it's in you, and it's an easy flow for transition for you.
Yeah, so, you're not doing it for accolades or spectators or trying to prove nobody. It's just something that you just have this deep desire, and something you're so passionate about, where sometimes you even lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I know. And I always tell people that, I say, listen, I used to go to New York, or come home like 12:30, get some sleep, and be up to go to work for 6:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And so people say, why are you doing? Because I really enjoy. I felt it inside of me. It's something I truly, and it gave me fulfillment, because I felt I was putting back into my community. And at the time, when I was Reverend Sharpton's photographer, people didn't know he had a lot of Caribbean people around him. He had people from Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, and here I was from St. Lucia. And so to be able to say, here I am, a Lucian, and I'm working this high-profile African-American gentleman doing all these things, stuff you see on television. People say, but I don't see you on TV. I said, you're not supposed to see me. I'm behind the camera. And so it gave me a sense. It made me feel good that I was putting back into my community something that that was important.
Right.
Right. And so when I see you out there, I'm like, how many? I always think to myself, when I see you, I say, how many young African-American girls see you? And that makes them feel good about what their dreams about. They might not want to be a model, but they see you successfully doing what you love, and makes them say to themselves, you know what? I like this. Let me go do this, because she could do hers. She could work on her dream. Let me work on my dream. And that's why I know I love working with you.
What it's all about.
Yeah.
Like you said,
I remember that.
Just discovering, what are your dreams and gifts? What do you love to do, whether you were getting paid to do it or not? And just find out what you need to do to make it happen, and just take baby step, one step at a time, you know?
Yeah. I think that's so important. I think as we get older and we realize we have a responsibility, just like, when we look back, Dr. Martin Luther King had a responsibility to what he did. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and all Marcus Messiah Garvey, they fulfilled their journey. And now what are we going to do? They have passed the baton to us.
Right.
What are we doing with that baton? Are we going to run with it? Are we going to throw it away? Are we going to get serious and make sure we could pass it on to the next generation and make sure they have something positive? So I always take what I do seriously behind the camera because
Right.
the work I do, I might be one of the few people in the room, but it goes out to millions of people. Same thing, like, you're wearing an outfit at QVC, but millions of people are watching you wear that outfit,
Right.
and you're painting a picture for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it
Yeah.
makes them feel good about that picture you're painting. So that's very cool. Yeah, I'm always interested when I see actors doing their thing, mostly from the Caribbean, like you, because I take it very personal when I see that, because being from the Caribbean, how many superheroes do we have from the Caribbean on the global community? We have the locals in the region, but when you leave the region, who do we have out there that people
Right.
will identify with and stuff like that? And that's pretty
Right.
important.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your acting career, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember you in I seen you in a lot of little things, but I guess your first major role that I remember is the one where you played the undercover police officer in the
Oh, Diary of a Bad Man. Check it out. It's on Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free or
It's on
rent it for
Amazon
like
Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, because that's a major role. You were the lead actress in that role. Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
a little. Let's talk a little bit about what did you do to get to that position? How did you prepare yourself to get to that position? For those young people who are listening.
Right. When I tell you that obedience, there's power in your obedience, because when you say yes to yourself and yes to your purpose, and I'm going to take the first step, God really, really will reward that. And the universe will give you, it's like a magnetic pull where you start to pull the resources that, like I say, if God gave you the vision, he'll make provisions. And he began to make provisions where it's like, I wanted to pursue acting. I didn't know how to start, but I just started to put one foot before the other. Okay, let me take a class here. Let me take headshots. And by me opening up my mouth and just saying, this is what I want to do, my dad one day was just like, hey, you say you want to get into acting, or you want to do some Nollywood film and stuff like that. Because I used to be obsessed with Nollywood films. He said, I have this Nigerian guy, and getting into filmmaking, I should connect you to. And when my dad connected me with his coworker, who was just a security guard trying to build up his his filmmaking business as well, and just starting out, he was just like, oh, I have the perfect script I wrote. It's of a Jamaican undercover cop who, of Simone Williams, but when she go undercover to take down one of her this guy who was a Jamaican drug lord, she started to see his life from a different realm and start to see that, wow, he's actually the Robin Hood of his community. And she became his diary, because this man for the first time really started to confide in me, well, my character, and really start to open up. And I started to see the good that he did in his community and what he did for terms of scholarships for students and kids in his community who didn't really have the resources or the tools, and really giving back. And I'm like, man, how he go about getting his money is not the right way, but what he's doing with it is so amazing. Like, he's really doing a lot for his community. And this role was amazing. So I would say, it kind of just like fell in my lap, but I felt like I worked hard, and that was God rewarded me. Like, here you go. And we just really trust each other and work with each other. And Diary of a Bad Man was actually my first film and my first leading role. So, I'm definitely blessed. He really did it on a shoestring budget. We didn't have the money. We didn't have the resources. I remember his little kids were the one holding up the boom mic and the slates. And I'm talking about his kids are like, at the time, like 8, 10, 5. And his wife at the time was pregnant, and she was holding the mic too, and trying to get us together and get the sets together. So we were really like on a wing and a prayer. And just, it just really, people just came in. It just, the provisions, man.
I remember I was at the red carpet in Manhattan for that. It's the theater.
Oh, right. Packed. Yeah. And we even went as far as that. Like, when I tell you, when we finished the film, and I just happened to be on Facebook, and I just saw that Jamaican Film Festival, like they were having a Jamaican Film Festival in Jamaica. And I'm like, whoa, this will be amazing. At the time, we didn't even finish the film. And I wrote the person who put it out, Her name was Carol Beckford. And I said, hey, we're currently shooting this Jamaican film here in the States, and I would love to submit it to the Jamaican Film Festival. I think you would love it. It's an amazing concept. And she was like, okay, well, send it to me when you're done. I take a look at it and, just submit it on the link. And when it was done, he hurried up and finished it. And they had a rough draft that he submitted. And it just, lo and behold, we got accepted into the Jamaican Film Festival like 4 years ago. And from there, we saw how people in Jamaica gravitated to it.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Yeah. And we even got like a theatrical distribution in Jamaica, Grand Cayman Island. And we like, whoa, we're onto something here. People are craving Caribbean content. Like, this is a wide open market because you don't really have a lot of Caribbean content. And it wasn't done the best. There's definitely some cinematography and technical stuff that I feel like we could do better now, but we did the best we could with the resources that we had. Yeah. But people were just so sold on the content. Like, we are craving great content, something that's not out there like what we see every day on every major platform that's telling the same story over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you said something very important, and this is something I tell people all the time. That's why for me, when I did my film festival in the Caribbean, my whole thing was let's show what we can do in the Caribbean. We have some excellent actors. We have some great people who have come to the U.S., studied in the U.S., and now went back home. So they have the education background from here in the U.S. and they went back home. And we have some great stories. Every island in the Caribbean has some stories they could tell. I could go to Jamaica and find out about Queen Nanny.
Oh, yeah.
So every island has some great story behind it. And those stories have not been really truly explored on the global scale. You have some local people telling the stories, but when you go how many movies have been made about Napoleon? Okay. And so how many movies have been made about George Washington, the American Revolution? We had a revolution in the Caribbean also. I mean, we had the revolution during the enslavement of our people. So we had those revolutions in the Caribbean. So, but those stories have not been explored yet. And I'm always saying it's going to take us Caribbean nationals who are overseas now to bring those stories to life, because the interesting thing about that, you said, the stories in the Caribbean connects us to the U.S. and connects us back to Africa, because the way we got to the Caribbean is through the enslavement process, and the way we got to the Caribbean is through migration to the U.S. Is through migration. So when you start telling the stories in the Caribbean, you connect the U.S. to the Caribbean and you connect Africa to the Caribbean, and that's a powerful connection that we haven't truly explored on a global level yet. And so that's always interesting. When I saw Diary of a Batman, I was like, this is a great story, because how many stories have we seen about gangsters in the U.S. like Al Capone, and they even had the series on HBO that was made in New Jersey, right? So we have seen movies and series in the U.S. about gangsters, but we haven't really seen one about Caribbean gangsters, because we have them too. I mean,
but that's also the stereotype that a lot of people are so quick to judge, because what a lot of even the newspapers and a lot of the media outlet was like, Diary of a Badman is more than what meet the eyes, because through Bucky's character, he talked a lot about Marcus Garvey and a lot of the philosophy, and a lot of the things that we were brainwashed with, and even one of his famous lines that I love: slavery is the new plantation, prison is the new plantation, and slavery, and how a lot of people have that slavery mindset and a scarcity mindset. So Bucky was a very intellectual gangster, and it really spoke, and you see Caribbean love on a whole different lens, where my character, Detective Simone William, fell in love with this guy, Bucky, Winston Bucky Bailey, because she saw him in a different lens than what everybody else was able to see him. That's why it's called Diary of a Badman, because she was his diary. Yeah. And you see this Black man allowing himself to be transparent and vulnerable to his Black queen, and really opening up himself and pouring out and being vulnerable. And really letting her know his plans and what he's trying to do with his community, and how he don't really want to be in this life, and what his goals are. So you really got to see it on a whole nother level. And I thank you for even exposing us to St. Lucia, and shout out to the director, Deniran Demaraye Denaran from Denaran Films for the opportunity. And this film has led us to Canada. We won the Canadian Film Festival, Caribbean Film Festival. We landed us in the UK, London, and across the globe. And this definitely gave me the acting bug. For sure, because after this film, it opened up so many doors, and it kind of solidified me wanting to really pursue acting for sure. Like, okay, if I had a hint of this is something I really want to do, this kind of like put a stamp on it, like, no, girl, this is what you need to be doing.
Yeah. No, it's a great movie, and I mean, after that, I know I saw you in the other movie with the that was made by the African brother.
Muda.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when I met your mother, because you guys had the red carpet in New Jersey, and your mom came out.
Yeah. Muda was amazing. I love that film. When Time Is All That Matter, and my character found out that she had a terminal illness, and when you're told by the doctor that you only have few weeks or days to live, what do you do with that time that you have left? What do you do? So that role was very, very powerful and such a great testimony.
Now, is that one on Amazon Prime? How do people see that one? Is it out there anywhere?
We gotta hit up Prince YE, because at this point, everybody and their mama have their film on Amazon Prime. It's so easy to get your work out there. That's why I said it's no excuse as to why people who want to be filmmakers, you have no excuse. You have so many platforms that's open to the public. All you have to do is submit your stuff and get it on Amazon. Submit yourself to Netflix. If it's shot well, you can get your stuff on. Even people who are getting their stuff on YouTube, and you can charge money or make it free. There's so many platforms. So I feel like 2020 makes everything so accessible, where there's no excuse. Whatever your dreams and aspirations are, no matter what country or what part of the world you're in, you have access. Now,
you have access.
I watch stuff that's filmed in Africa or in other third world country all the time, and they're not even here. They're doing it. So that's the power of the internet and social media. I connected with a brother called Zion in Nigeria, and when I came out with my book Love After, through Instagram was how I was able to get to Nigeria from London and speak and did a school tour and speak to high school students and college students, and gave my book to the libraries at the schools. And I'm like, I had no idea that door would have opened for me, but there's power in your obedience. When you say yes to yourself and your dreams, all you have to do is take the first step, and God will reward your obedience.
You have to be consistent.
Put resources in your lap that you wouldn't even think of. I wouldn't have never thought that would happen for me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you have to be consistent. You can't say I'm going to take 2 steps today and then stop tomorrow. You have to be consistent. You have to put the work in. Be consistent.
It takes work.
Yeah.
I always say faith without work, not me, but the faith without work is dead. You can't just say, hey, I want to do this and think everything is going to be given to you.
Yeah.
No, you have to work.
Yeah, because I know I've seen you in there's a series there's a series that you're in. Talk a little bit about that series. It's a series. The one I saw a clip on Facebook about when you were in the kitchen. The guy, I think you had the abortion, and he didn't know you had the abortion.
Oh, Bubbly Brown Sugar, by Tamala Baldwin. LeVar and Ty Stone was a cinematographer. I love that role. Bubbly Brown Sugar season 1. It was on YouTube, but now it got picked up by Urban Flick TV. So they're available now for streaming. So if you're online, whatever country you are in, you can get Bubbly Brown Sugar, all episodes right now from Urban Flicks TV. And I can also send a link to Brother Ed if he can post it as well. I haven't posted on my page. If he's gonna link me, so if you want to go on my page, I have the link there as well. But I love that role. That role was so. It was heavy.
I saw you. I was like, you did a great job. That kitchen scene. I said she was crying and wailing, and I was like,
it was heavy.
The chemistry between you and the male actor, and that scene was really good. I mean,
oh my God. Yeah,
like
he's such a phenomenal actor, man. Like Richard Lowe, he's so amazing.
Yeah. I saw it and I was looking, I was like, it made me look at you totally different. Okay, I'm just letting you know. in a good way, because I saw you in Diary of a Bad Man, I saw you in Muda, and then I saw you there. I saw 3 different faces of you.
Thank you.
And that's what
Thank you
actors
so
do.
much.
Actors become the role, and you became that role so well. And I was like looking at you, and I was like, wow, she did a great job on that. And that's like, no, I thank you all the time for coming to St. Lucia and doing the boot camp, because some of the young people down there really love what you did in the boot camp.
I miss them. Look, I love St. Lucia, man. That was probably one of my best getaway, like just going away. St. Lucia is amazing. And you guys treated me with nothing but just, I felt welcomed. The kids, I love them. They even sometimes reach out to me or will comment on my stuff, or like they're just amazing. Yeah. And I always see what they're doing, because we're connected through social media. So I know I see Brianna stuff a lot. They're amazing. Yeah. They're doing amazing things.
That's why I spoke to you about the series we're looking to shoot down there. I said, I definitely want to bring you back in that series. I spoke to the writer, Demetrius Charles, about it. I said, we got to write her in, because, because I think, I
know Demetrius Charles. Isn't he here in the States?
He's in
New York.
Yeah, Well, he's the writer director of the series I was talking to you about.
Wow. I will finally get to work with him. That is amazing. I like his work.
Yeah, I mean, for me with PIFF, it's like, how do we connect the dots? How do we show these, not only in St. Lucia, but let's show the young people in the Caribbean that this is possible for them? Because as you said earlier, a lot of our parents and grandparents did not take the creative arts seriously.
No.
A lot of them say it's a hobby. They look at it as a hobby, and I'm like, this is a multi-trillion-dollar hobby. This thing, people pay their bills. People live very nice on this hobby. You're calling it a hobby. And in the Caribbean, unfortunately, a lot of parts of the Caribbean still see it as a hobby.
Yeah.
And the only way we could change that mindset is that we need to show them how powerful it is by using the youth, using the people in the Caribbean to tell their own stories. Because, unfortunately, a lot of stories that's told in the Caribbean stay in the Caribbean. Okay? Because if I go to Jamaica, I know I'll find some great film work, some great stories on film in Jamaica. And that will go through the same thing. If I go to St. Lucia, if I go to Trinidad, I'll find some great movies that is staying on those islands. So a lot of our ancestors, our parents say it's a hobby because they stayed there. But if we could show them that we could make movies in the Caribbean, take them to the US and give them a global stage, I think that would change their mindset. And
absolutely.
And that's what.
If it was up to my family, are very supportive, but I have to say it was a long time coming, because they like, well, Jacinth, if y'all try to do this thing and not bust yet, you don't make it yet. We're making a try something else. We're making something like another field. And the health department is always hiring, and there's always so much nursing job. You can't make $30-$50 an hour. And you make good money. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do.
But just an interesting thing about that is that how many people go to college for 4, 5, 6 years and don't get a job when they come out?
my bachelor's degree is in business management, and my master's is in professional counseling. And I think right now we're in an age where entrepreneurship is at an all-time rise, because this pandemic have awakened a lot of people to say, get your own bag, get your own coin. You cannot rely and continue to build nobody else's vision and nobody else's dream. Not knocking jobs, as long as you allow your job to pay for your dream. And that's what I did. As I was working, I allowed my job to pay for my dream, and to the point where I felt like, okay, my dream is now on its feet. It got legs. Now I can put all my energy full time into what I want to build. But you just have to be strategic and have a plan and have a goal and really stick to it, and not be a slave to the clock. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody is different. It's whatever works for you and what makes you feel at peace is most important, and what makes you feel alive. But if you feel like you're not where you need to be, and you're waking up the same day feeling like a robot, going to sleep, doing the same thing day after day after day, and just feeling like not yourself, not alive, then that's not good. Something got to give,
Yeah. And that's very true what you said. And, unfortunately, some of us don't realize that inside of us is a gift and a talent.
Right.
Now you have a choice. You could cover that gift and talent up and go do something else. You could take that gift and talent and give it to someone else to help them make a lot of money and be successful. Or you could take that gift and talent and use it for yourself and make yourself successful. So
Yes.
you have choices, and you
Yeah.
know, and there's nothing wrong in if you take one road in that choice and it doesn't work for you, nothing's going to stop you from going to the next road, or going to the
Mm-hmm.
next road. So you could always have choices, and you could always go back and
Yeah.
start and do something else, and do something
Mm-hmm.
else. Because my goal was never to be a filmmaker or photographer. I just love photography. My mom gave me a camera. I still went to school. I got my degree in aerospace electronics. I worked in the space program, but on the side, I was still building. My resume as a photographer.
Oh,
And finally, I
nice.
made a business. So so when I retired from the space aerospace business, I had my business to where I could transition to that point. So,
Yeah.
and I tell people about that. It's okay to have a job, but
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it's great to have a job, but also look
Mm-hmm.
at what is your desires,
Mm-hmm.
what's your goal, what's your end goal, and
Exactly.
and see how you could work the two together in a harmonious way to make you feel
Mm-hmm.
good about the end of the day. You feel good about what you did, and
Exactly.
that's a very powerful thing for us to do as a people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk about you. What's next for Jacinth, the actor, the writer, the entrepreneur?
Well, I'm always trying to find a way to reinvent myself. Well, of course, I have my book, Love After Transformation, that I'll be dropping out probably like the spring of next year. Of course, with this pandemic, we don't know what's going on. I guess everything would have to be virtually. Usually this year I had my first Love After Empowerment event, which was an amazing empowering conference with amazing keynote speaker. Shout out to some of the people and my speakers who came through and did the panelist discussions and performers and poets, and it was just an amazing time.
Good.
And everybody were just like, we want more of this. We want more of this. So I want to have a second annual, but of course that's up in the air. Right now I have it for April 18th. But with the pandemic, I don't want to put nobody at risk. So if it depends on how everything go. But right now I'm having a second annual April 18th here in Pennsylvania. And I'm working on a few scripts behind the scene and just pitching some things. And right now
And she's working with the bench, hopefully with PIFF.
and of course, Brother Ed just told me about an amazing role that he would love for me to join the cast, the second season of an amazing story, which I think is amazing. I'm not going to say what, but you guys have to stay tuned. But I can't wait to work with you again. And yeah, I actually also turned not my book, I didn't turn it into, but my Love After series. Definitely stay tuned for that. Because I want to be able to go into with this everything is up in the air because with this pandemic, it's like,
yeah.
We don't know, and I don't want to I don't want to be selfish, and then also you see everybody else still performing and doing life as usual and taking a huge risk. So it's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. I think what with this pandemic, I think it makes us reassess ourselves and how do we move forward? Because before everything was crystal clear and stuff like that. With this pandemic, I think now we have to look at how do we do stuff, because like this year, 2020, PIFF was online. We did PIFF. The whole PIFF was online.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, why should I do PIFF this year online? I don't know. But one thing I found out with doing PIFF online was that I was able to reach more countries because we were able to bring people in put people on Zoom and bring them in on different countries. And so I found that I was able to outreach. I mean, through PIFF online, we now have a solidified office in Zimbabwe. So we have an office in Zimbabwe.
Okay,
so,
Zimbabwe.
So like we have a cool Sister Kumbi, who runs the office for us. And
you are global. Okay.
Yeah, well, we had to look at what we were doing and how do you survive? Because at the end of the day, we still have to eat, we still have to pay our bills, so this pandemic just made us readjust. Well, for me, it made me readjust myself. And the interesting thing about it, my wife has been talking to me for years about putting PIFF online. She said, you should do PIFF online. You should do PIFF online. And this year I had no choice. So she looked at me like, I've been telling you, do it online. So now we did it online. We're looking at, what else do we do? So we have a PIFF in Africa coming up next year. So we have PIFF in Africa. So, and that's all because of the pandemic.
You know, you can sign me up. I'm all for Africa now.
So hey, I'm going to talk about that because we're going to, you know, because of the pandemic, we don't know what's happening, but so we have everything scheduled to be online.
Yeah.
So we're looking at PIFF in Africa online and how do we go to the next level and stuff like that. Because the reality is we don't know what's going to happen with this pandemic, but we still have to live. We still have to live and stuff like that. So as what can we do with what we have? If you give me $10, I'm going to work with $10. You give me $20, I work with $20. So now the pandemic has forced us to look at what can we do online. And we see a lot of film festivals went online this year because of the pandemic. So, so I mean, so it was pretty interesting for us. And so, you know, we thank God for the blessings and stuff like that. And, you know, we say prayers for those who have been affected in a negative way with this pandemic, because a lot of people lost loved ones. A lot of people are still in hospital. The spike is still spiking and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely. So, you know, tell people, I want nice and slow. Tell them how do they find you on social media?
Okay. On Instagram, for all my Insta family, it is I'm Jacinth. My username is I am Jacinth. So I'm Jacinth. And on Facebook is my first name, JACINTHSU, or my fan page is JACINTHSUT. So one is personal, one is a fan page. Or if you ever want to reach out to me or have any question, theloveafter@gmail.com. I answer my email. If you want to reach out to me, is theloveafter@gmail.com. And shoot me an email and I'll definitely respond. If you have any question or you need help with anything, whatever I can do or whatever resources I can provide, I'm here to help.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you for saying yes, you are interested in coming back to St. Lucia, because you know St. Lucia is home for me, and I love the Caribbean. So you know, Demetrius Charles is doing a great job writing a great script. It's 10-part series, and we're looking to shoot it in St. Lucia. So I look forward to hopefully having you down there with us for season 2 when we do season 2. So thank you so much.
Oh, and if and the other social media for Love After, which is my book series, anything Love After related, which I feel like that's my purpose platform, is at The Love After, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or The Love After at Gmail. So The Love After on all platform, if you want to reach me there too.
Well, Sister Jacinth, thank you so much, and thank your 2 children for not coming into the scene while we were talking.
Right. I was over here I'm like, I can hear Jen. I think at one point I muted myself and went over like this, like, Genesis! I can hear you.
Well, so thank them so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, so you know how to get in touch with me.
Yes, okay? Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Okay, thank you, Jacinth. Bye. Have a nice Sunday. Okay.
You too.